Hi guys, my name is Borodante, and I wanna use DALL-E Mini to create a concept art of a character for my horror game. And that's what we're gonna be doing today. I spent a little time on the website here. If any of you guys don't know, DALL-E Mini is like this broadly available version of the DALL-E AI that translates a sentence of words into an image. And it's very interesting to see how it makes things happen. It really made me think a little while ago about what is AI today, what we call AI, like machine learning. It's pretty much a huge database of all kinds of images all over the internet. And it's some kind of an intelligent system that makes sense out of all of these images and sort of has an experience of looking at these, I don't know, billions of images. In terms of DALL-E Mini, it uses a whole lot of images, because what's special about it is that this is one of the first systems that are omnidirectional. Anything you write, it will interpret in images. It's not about making portraits, it's not about increasing the resolution, it understands anything. And that's very exciting, and one important aspect of work of a concept artist is about having the visual library in your head to know the way things work, to quickly be able to, put things together on your character so they would work together to show the character in the best way. While of course AI today is not super advanced and it's a pretty limited tool, and not to mention that DALL-E Mini website is a lot of the times very slow and you have to wait for your Santa Claus in Silent Hill style for quite a few minutes, if not even get a response that is just not available at the moment. I still thought it would be quite an interesting experiment to create the second witness for the future game I'm working on. And while we wait for the cyber soldier made of beef, oh, there you go, too much traffic, please try again. So yeah, sometimes this takes a few tries. So things are not super, but I thought it would be a really cool experiment to see if the whole idea of, teaching AI based on many images, will it somehow aid the concept art development process? So we'll get right to that right after a quick word from this channel sponsor Wingfox and their new course called Complete Workflow and Technique for Stylized Natural Landscape Background Painting. Quite a mouthful. What I like about this course is that it really works on stretching and working your muscle of shape design, stylization for the development of a big, rich artwork. So yeah, it goes through all the classics, working on your library, working with the composition, working with values and colors. And one of the most interesting aspects of shape design is showing the abundance of nature using minimum amount of brushstrokes. This is always an interesting aspect to learn and to improve at. Your lecturer Freeman is a very experienced concept artist and lecturer that has a very beautiful, impressive, and most importantly robust art style that can go very far, no matter what the subject is. They'll share their approach and the way they think about the artwork as they develop it. So if any of you guys are interested in seeing that process, this course is in the early birds fundraising stage right now. It will start coming out in 2 months, but because of that, you can pay only $25 to get the full access to it when it starts releasing. So it's a good time to invest into it. The affiliate link is, as always, in the video description. Now back to our AI concepting. Alright, cyber soldier made of beef, looking pretty cool. To me it looks a bit more like it's made of carpet. So let's see, why I really thought it would be an interesting idea to use DALL-E Mini to develop the second witness is because witnesses are going to be the line of characters in the game that are the lowest kind. They won't be too abundant or anything. For instance, there will never be 2 identical witnesses walking around. It's not like a Silent Hill nurse that you just copy a bunch of it throughout the game or something like that. Generally, the game will be much more focused on having very few enemies that are much more persistent and much more scary because of that when you ever stumble upon them. They actually pose a real threat that's consistent throughout the whole story, and they're always a big deal, which is, I think, the way a monster is supposed to be. Absolutely always. That looks like Boris Johnson. So yeah, obviously DALL-E is not about giving you high-resolution images. Like, this is literally it. If you click on one of them, you just scale it up. Mostly what I'm using it for is separate reference, right? So it's just giving me ideas. What kind of shirt an old lady with giant veiny arms and creepy face can be wearing, you know? Or what kind of hairstyle can it be? What kind of color spots on the face and on the body can happen? And what I really like about the way DALL-E interprets the word veiny. So veiny arms is like arms that grow like veins, apparently. That's what it interpreted. That's why I got very weird results for a few times when I was saying veiny arms. But when I switched to arms with veins, that's where I started getting actual veins on the arms. So yeah, it's actually an interesting thing. You're sort of programming this algorithm with the human words, but it's still kind of like programming, which, I mean, speech is also programming between humans. Oh my god, that is beautiful. Yeah, one aspect that I'm really excited to explore is actually the face, because it can be anything it wants to be. And I think I want to continue the idea of the first witness here. It's about the unwanted intimacy, being too close to a person that you don't necessarily would consent to be close to. This nuanced and kind of silent problem that you almost shouldn't have, should be embarrassed that you are feeling that way. So it's sort of breaking your energy. It's not about being scared and running away, and it's not about being, you know, openly disgusted and pushing that person away. No, you have to stay, and you won't like it. That's the state that I find very interesting, and it's a good base to incredibly hyperbolize on. Make it, like, push it to a complete extreme. So I want to see what DALL-E would say if I would ask him to create like an uncomfortable face, uncomfortable head maybe. Of course, we're not gonna see any specific objects, because for specific objects to appear, you need to use specific words. Uncomfortable is not a specific thing. So we won't see DALL-E like coming up with like uncomfortable face means it's half face, half chair or something like that. I never said chair, so there won't be a chair. At least the way I expect it to be. Yeah, it looks like a head of a person that is uncomfortable. Kinda. But I mean, this just looks very uncomfortable. It is looking like some kind of infographic or, I don't know, promotional material of a headache or something like that. Something you would see on a box of pills against headache. This, I know, is just a piece of art, I think, is something based on that. And the rest are just having a bad time because they don't have a product that is going to be advertised or something like that. So if I really like, say, a grandma that would have like this kind of base, maybe a little bit of this I like as well, and something combined, of course, with something like this in here, and well, maybe a little bit of a creepy designs from here. Oh, this looks like an owl, I guess, a little bit. Interesting, that like an old lady interpretation of an owl. Maybe not, maybe it's just kind of looking like it. What I like in this one specifically, like, it's pretty typically horrific, but generally the idea of a black hole on a face, that's something I would call quite uncomfortable, something you really don't want to get close to. So, face? No, still, let's go with the, I know, head with black hole. What's funny about DALL-E is that even if I wouldn't be using the word creepy, or like with creepy face, I used to be using that with creepy face. Even if you don't use any of those like creepy words, faces are always super creepy because it's not actually using the full understanding of a structure of the human head. It will make kind of like a human head, which is absolutely horrific. So you kind of do, oh, okay, exclusively like a space kind of thing. Well, I mean, black hole is a very specific combination of words. Head with a hole, maybe let's go with dark hole. Dark hole is absolutely not a black hole, I would say. So let's see where that goes. So yeah, I feel like generally AI is such a perfect fit for horror concept art just because it gets really close to realism. It uses fragments of a real world to shape up something that almost looks like a human or anything, but very much not quite. Like, not a single bit of this image is actually human. And that's amazing. Honestly, I really want to start shaping things up already on the canvas. I don't know if I'll be technically using a lot of photo bashing, but very much like, why not, you know? If it saves time and it looks the way I like it, why not? After all, concept art is not the final product. I will still have to manually interpret that into a final 3D shape, 3D model. Definitely no need to necessarily, you know, perfectly paint all the details. That's just a waste of time. Okay, that's a head with a dark hole. So it really has a big problem understanding what that means. Or, you know what, it can be actually trying to avoid showing any kind of gore. Maybe it seems like something that would be gory or completely terrible, as well as like you can't actually see nudity in here. That's why I'm completely fine with showing this page right here, because there will be no nudity. If anything, it, in many cases, looks like a man. Or, like, if it kind of resembles, you know, the old lady's breast, it still looks like something completely different. DALL-E doesn't know what nipples look like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I wonder if a male body would have nipples, or do they, like, completely abstain from it to avoid any problems? So yeah, let's just throw things in right here. Like, of course, your concept design doesn't have to rely purely on this, first of all, one website, one AI website, as well as generally just AI as the only source. But for the sake of experiment, I'm gonna try and do just that. Rely on the AI experience and just my own experience, and see what we can come up with together. Okay, I don't need Santa Claus though. So yeah, head with a hole, again, not great. In face. Head with a hole in face. So let's see, yeah, what was interesting, this was the first search I did on the old lady, and I used the words full height to, you know, see the full character, but really, it really cropped in on the head and on the feet, sometimes on 3 feet. And I think it's doing it because somewhere deep inside it has this rule that whatever I typed in, the result should be taking like the most of the image. And if you put a character inside of an image and it starts and ends somewhere, you know, pretty small, then it's like too small. It needs to stretch the things, and it doesn't really understand or care about the importance of having a face or feet in a full height character image. Oh my god, look at that. Photoshop's AI is selecting objects from the DALL-E AI. The future is here, old man. So yeah, I really wanted to use a dress like this, or maybe this. Actually, I like this one. It's a shame it's not selected well. But what we can do is use a lasso, I believe. Yep. Oh my god. We're finally getting actual tactile holes in heads. Not everywhere. Some of them are still pretty abstract. But this is kind of fun. Like, you wouldn't use it specifically, but just the idea of having like crumbled edge and then like different shape inside, that's exactly what a visual library is. These nonverbal ideas, you can't say it out loud, what's the benefit of seeing this kind of hole right now, but for a horror concept art, definitely good stuff. And not sure if anything else is too useful, but about the placement of holes, you know, of being too close to an eye, and all kinds of stuff. So pretty much like a random shape generator, the way the good old program called Alchemy used to work, where it sort of takes away some control from your brush strokes, throwing random shapes on the canvas as you make a stroke, or making the stroke invisible until you release the pen, all stuff like that, but a bit more intelligent, a bit more directed towards your purposes. So I think it's really cool. Let's see. This is really fun. Definitely liking this look. Actually, this one is nuts. Like, I really like the face here. This is incredible. Like, maybe this is even better since I think I am going for a hole one way or another. But right now I'm thinking about like what kind of torso I would like. And I don't think I want to go for, like, you know, the typical horror skinny lady. Like, I had, like, Victorian dress versions, of course. And, like, this is so deadbeat. I want something different. And I feel like having just a lady like this, in terms of shapes on the body, I think it would be much more interesting to see. I love how there are black holes, but there's always, like, certain variation of color and very specific details that are different. Even on Boris Johnson right here, you see violet edge around the hole, and also something like that going on around the lips. It's kind of like a corpsey kind of look, something like that in here as well. Very interesting to make sure I save that for the final look development of the actual model. I absolutely love something about these masses. Some of it is maybe even hard to just copy and paste, but definitely to just use as a reference. I really like the pose on this one. Interesting, I just realized absolutely every single result always has a cropped head. You can never see the top of the head. Wait, there you go, that's one head. Let's just grab it then. A complete head. Maybe there are more results like that, I don't know. Oh yeah, this fluffy, like, kind of shapeless, round hairstyle, something, you know, old-fashioned and very grandma-like. I want that. I don't want to go for the, you know, typical, like, oh, I'll have this Victorian bun on her or whatever that is. That's like trying to make it cool. That's so amateur. Because we need to go for the real-life experience of every player or every viewer, if this is a horror movie. It needs to be that ugly thing that we're making sense of in terms of making it a horror story. Oh my god, I think we can scale it up. Man, I really like the idea of these, like, kind of obese folds on the arms of some ladies. Like, this whole thing, it's really making a lot of, like, juice out of all of this idea with, like, biomasses that happen. Man, this is a lot more effective and fun than I was expecting it to be, actually. I like these eyes more because these ones are just completely dead and not present. These actually look at you. And don't forget, like, there's one aspect about the witness that we really need to repeat is the eyes. Witnesses are here to witness the big thing that's about to happen. So they're possessing a body that used to belong to a human, and they're pretty much wearing the whole body as a mask. And yeah, the eyes are these completely separate eyes from something else. They're looking through the face. So that's the look we're going for. Okay, I need hands and feet to work with, so diseased hands. Hit me up, DALL-E. I always try to start with something vague, and it probably won't be super effective, but maybe one or two images will have a hint on something that, you know, will give me an idea on much more objective words to use. And diseased feet. So right now, to work with this abundance of layers and different parts of the body and all kinds of layers here, I made sure that I switched to, like, this tool, the move tool, right? That's what it's called? Yeah, move tool. And in here, in the more of a modern versions of Photoshop, you have this little button right here. And what it means is, like, usually you can use this tool to like move things around, but also you can control click to switch between layers just like this on the actual objects. Well, when this button is on, you don't have to press control. You just click and you're selecting different layers. Even like click and drag immediately just moves that object you're seeing and wanting to move. Now, that's all interesting, but I use it not to use the move tool, but to actually avoid using it. With that button on in the move tool, when I'm even with the brush tool here, if I hold control, I can immediately move around any layer. So that's really fun and easy to work with. So I can like immediately, I'm here erasing the arm, then I'll control click here, I'll be erasing the dress or like that other dress. I guess these feet are not super usable anyway. So yeah, this is like super useful way to work. Not always, I don't like it on all the time, but right now definitely a good thing to use. So I can see old ladies like pretty wide holding part on the shoulders. It doesn't go too thin on this kind of dress. Like my default dress in my head would have a much more narrow kind of thing in here. Whoa. Well, it's not giving me too much ideas, like, I guess certain, like, these grapefruit colors on certain rashes or problems with the skin, but it's really subtle, honestly. Oh my god. That is awesome. That's a heel instead of a thumb, I think. What the hell is that even? Feet of a woman, diseased woman hands. We'll see. Alright, I feel like it's mostly just doing arthritis references or something like that, which doesn't look like anything. Man, when I look at like this image, I always wonder how much of predominantly one photo it actually used as a reference. It feels like a lot of just a single photo in here, but at the same time it may be very far from truth. Like, I can imagine how there are just a lot of photos that show hands at this angle, so it's still like a mashup. Really hard to understand. Sometimes you look at an image and it's like, isn't it just almost based on just some kind of photo? You can see there's depth of field, something blurry over there, and feet were over here. Some kind of stock photo, I guess. And then it just messed with it. That's kinda what it feels like, but at the same time, would it use one photo like that if it only would have one photo in its memory? Keep in mind, it's not an actual database of images. It doesn't have that. It has this weird, like, compilation of it. I don't think anyone would be able to explain what exactly it is, but it's not a store of actual images. It's a store of, like, objects and certain clusters of understanding what things are in relation to words. Okay, let's just go with old lady hands, because I don't like how the previous results are very young and skinny. What's interesting about using this approach is that it throws like 9 variants at you every time. So say you're an art director or something like that, and you wanna, show a bunch of references to the artists in the team. Maybe this would be a great way to like quickly pick out the images that you like in one way or another, with notes, of course, like what exactly you find interesting. Like, it's not about the shape, it's about the, the texture of the skin or the color of it, or the way the hair is like very fluffy and close to the skin color. Whatever you find interesting, and just add some notes on that in that regard. I think it's a pretty useful tool to work as a team as well. Okay, let's go closer to this thing. Oh my god, perfect. There's no disease like age. So on top of this whole photo bashing thing and kind of trying to find combinations that make sense to me, I also work on improving, like making the consistent lighting and stuff like that, maybe pushing it towards more realistic proportions. And really, I feel like it's not because the technology of AI is, not advanced enough. It's like, it's not really the AI part that needs to take care of this. Creating a program that would follow like realistic anatomy proportions, that's like obviously easy to do, like it's possible. Creating a program that would make realistic lighting in different conditions, like actually casting proper shadows based on this exact shape, we've been doing that for generations now. That's what real-time graphics is for. And right now we can ray trace in real time and everything. So it's just really about using like DALL-E 2 level of realism. There are already papers out there. For instance, on the 2-Minute Papers channel, there was a paper from NVIDIA that interpreted any photo of an object and immediately showed a 3D model of it. And think about this, like generating some kind of a creature like this, but better the way DALL-E 2 does and not this DALL-E Mini version. It's very messed up even from a distance. DALL-E 2 looks like a real photo 99% of the time, unless you really zoom in and see that none of it is actually a photo. But like, imagine those results plus the interpretation into a 3D model, and then real-time ray tracing with AI denoising and everything. You just generate absolutely realistic 3D models of unique concepts based on a phrase. With real lighting, not because there's a photo of it, but because it's really cast lighting. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of separate techniques and separate things that are already very advanced. And I feel like it's pretty soon when all of these things will be put together into something absolutely essential to future artwork or something. So about that hole in the head, you know what? That hole will be in the throat. This area is pretty notorious of an old lady. If we put a hole in the middle of it, that's gonna be absolutely beautiful. And if anything, I will really exaggerate it, make it pretty big. It will be kind of like the main thing of the design. Because so far I've been just building an old lady pretty much, but we need the thing. Of course, we'll have those special eyes with the orange glow the way the first witness had, but this right here is also as important. Probably not colorize. If there's some kind of color variation on the image already, I want to keep it, just shift it towards what would fit better here. Oh yeah, I love how this thing is sort of like this. It's not just a wound. It looks like this different organ that's going on in there. Bigger. I'm gonna make this hole a bit smaller to emphasize the main hole. This will be more like a little texture detail, not really the message of a hole anymore in this. You know what? You can't have too much hole. For some reason, I just look at this thing that it showed to me, like generally the dress and this wrinkly around the neck area. I feel like it's this main thing about an old lady witness, if we would have it, you know? So it's really gonna be the main thing. Beautiful, there we go. So it's like an actual fold in between the lungs or something. It's really massive now. Now that's the good stuff. Also, what about this hand right here? This is gorgeous. So a little bit redder and darker, and I like continuing this black shadow. It doesn't really matter too much. I so wanna use this. I don't know, like the eyes, I guess. I kind of don't have the chin solved all that much. I feel like it could use some nice reference. This is a cool hole. But the chin... Oh, I don't even know where to go. Alright, now what about the specific nose maybe? I'm like fine-tuning it already. I like what I'm seeing. I definitely want to have like a specific nose. It's time to forget about the noseless monster designs. Old woman nose. I wonder, again, since I'm using the word nose as the main part of the sentence, will it mean that the nose will be shown on the picture from the bottom to the top like this and cropped into the image because most of the image has to be the nose? Like, we didn't really have a problem like that with the head. Sometimes the head would fit perfectly in. Actually, quite a few times we would have, like, see the whole head. But yeah, DALL-E Mini definitely has a big preference of cropping the heads from the top. Whoa, yeah, that's perfect, because it probably bases things on the way people take pictures of these objects. So a lot of selfies out there crop away the top part of the head. Maybe that's why. But if you take a picture of a nose, it's not gonna be like this close. Nice noses. What the hell are those things? Like some special devices? Some high-tech grandmas? Like, I'm loving the unidentified weird growth on the side of a nose. That's amazing. I'm actually gonna grab this smile in here and maybe try and use that growth a little bit as well. Now let's see. Definitely less saturated, like this, and maybe a bit darker. Not too dark, because again, nose should be brighter since it's sticking forward. So what do we have underneath? I like that weird thing going on with the meat part, so I'm gonna bring it back a little bit, and we'll have this kind of combination of things. This is going really well. So about this growth. Also, this one is incredible too, so I don't even know which one to choose. I mean, this thing can definitely hang over an eyeball. Okay then, I think we're good, and this will be our next witness then. I still don't even know all the little aspects of what I just put together, like maybe certain details I'll find more interesting that I haven't realized yet, maybe something I won't like and I'll remove it, but yeah, the concept is there and it was incredibly easy. It removed the part of just searching for something useful, some kind of bits of reality like that. This abundance of real, like, skin, gross colors. This shape of the hole that I would never make like this. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I'll have another look at it later, but I feel like for now that'll be it. Didn't even take that much time. And I have this one result, and I really feel like I went through a lot of them, because I did. I went through a whole bunch of different versions and put together things I liked and followed the way my idea was developing, which was quite a lot of fun. Tell me guys what you think. Do you like the results? Maybe you have some extra ideas for this witness right here. I feel like the design is very interesting, especially if we put the proper amount of emphasis on the hole in the chest. This is a quite obvious manifestation of the Freudish kind of stuff. So yeah, I feel like it's pretty damn good in that regard. But for now, this is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Man, that hole is gonna be terrifying. And what I like, it also follows the concept of the previous witness while being really different, which is I want them to be really different, but in here we'll also have this extra place to animate. If the first witness had moving elbows and like this extra back hugging him would be moving around, in here is just this breathing hole. This is gonna be quite fun.